everyone. We are taking charge of every facet of our lives, and this is Take Charge with Sophie. My name is Sophie. In this episode, we'll be talking about entrepreneurship ideas investors are interested in. With me today is an expert on this subject. His name is Sammy Shaddai Ofori. He's a director and co-founder of Innovation Spark. I'm sure by the time he's through with the subjects, you have a lot to actually push the adrenaline in you to start, coming up with ideas that are foundable. So, hello Amish.
Hello Sophie.
Welcome to my channel.
Thank you, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so let's go.
Right. So hi everyone, my name is Sammy Shaddai Ofori. I'm co-founder of the Innovation Spark, and in 2022 we put together a report, the Ghana Innovation Journal report, that highlights the major investments that happen in the country and where we saw a lot of investors coming in. This report was mainly focused on the entrepreneurship space, startup space, so it won't cover the traditional sectors that we have. But I think it's important to know what are some of the trending areas that you can focus on as an entrepreneur, or how you can position yourself to get access to some of the funding that is available. So first of all, let's just take a step back and look at what kind of investments that our investors are currently looking at. For most entrepreneurs, if you are starting, you want what is called a pre-seed investment. What's a pre-seed investment? Is the type of investment you get before you get any major investor coming in. So this is where you usually go to family and friends, you usually go to your loved ones to support an idea that you have. It could be that you are testing the idea, so you are going through what we call a proof of concept. If you want to sell sachet water, maybe with a specific flavor, you want to know if people would really buy this type of sachet water. So you do what we call a proof of concept. Now sometimes you need an initial capital to do the proof of concept, and that is where you get a pre-seed fund. So pre-seed funds usually come from, again, family and friends, but we have a couple of angel investors that are also willing to look at pre-seed funds. Another place that you can get pre-seed funds will be in incubation hubs and also accelerator programs. So last year in 2022, we saw a few investments coming in for those at the ideation stage who needed pre-seed funds.
Okay, please can you explain the ideation further?
Okay. So ideation is when you are coming up with the idea. It's the process of going from the idea, fleshing it out, and seeing what will work and what will not work. So to go through ideation, sometimes you need some capital to go to the market to do research, for example, and also to make sure that the idea that you have is really going to be bankable or people are going to want to invest in it.
Okay.
So ideation stage, you will need some people to believe in you and say, you know what, we haven't seen this in this market before, but we think that you can do it, maybe because of your skill sets, or maybe because of the team that you have put together. So I can say, if Kafi wants to do something in investments, she wants to start her own savings and loans, I know that she has a track record in investments, so I will give her some money for ideation.
Awesome. So at which part does business plan come in?
Your business plan should come in at ideation stage.
Oh, okay.
Because you are fleshing out the idea and you also want someone to invest in you. Okay. The only reason why I will consider investing in you is if you have carefully put together the steps where you are going to see opportunity and where you are going to get the money from.
Okay, what are some of the things that should be captured in the business plan that would be of interest to an investor?
That's a great question. Most of the time, the investor wants to know the numbers. The numbers meaning, if I invest X amount, how much am I going to get? Is the market ready? Is there an addressable market for what you want to do? So the first thing you start thinking about is, how much do I want to put in my company and how much am I going to get back? And if I'm putting a certain amount in my company, where am I going to get my customers from? So that's the market we are talking about. Okay. But a great way to be able to carefully think through what you need for your business plan is to look at what we call a business model canvas.
Okay. Can you take us through that as well?
Sure. Okay. So this is usually thrown out in the startup space, but business model canvas is basically a template or a group of guidelines that help you to carefully structure your business. So it's like a matrix, it's a box with different smaller boxes in it, and you look at very important things like the value proposition.
Okay.
What are you proposing as value to your customer? So if Kafri does her show every week, what is the value she's offering? She's offering to her viewers the ability to investment opportunities and to make sound investment ideas. And maybe she does it from a very localized context. So you know that she will talk to the heart of Ghana and not do it from, let's say, the perspective of the US. So suddenly her value to her viewers is that you can watch in Ghana and understand different financial instruments that can help you. So that's the value proposition. Then you look at who you are going to partner with.
Okay.
Who do I need to partner with to make my business fruitful? Again, let's use Sophia's example. So for Sophia to put together a good channel, she needs a media team. So maybe she will want to partner with someone who has a good media company.
Yeah.
For her to have good sound, she will need good sound partners. It could come from the media team, or she could get investment from a sound company, for example.
Okay.
And then she could also say, I'm going to highlight different investment instruments. So I want to partner with investment bankers or different financial institutions that do investments. So suddenly she has partners that will help her have better value. Okay. Then you also look at who your customers are going to be. If I start a YouTube channel, who are the first 10 people I'm going to tell about my YouTube channel? I always say try and go for the first 10 people because they will let you have a good idea of who your customer is going to be. So maybe for Kafri, her customers are going to be those who visit her at the bank because they already have an idea of money and how to save it. Or she could decide to go to youth groups, or she could decide to go to churches because they want to train more of their youth members. So after you've gotten these three different things, then you look at where your money is going to and where your money is coming from. Okay, so for your money going to, it's your expenses. Maybe Sophia will have to hire the media person. Maybe she'll have to take transportation in and out to the studio. Maybe she'll have to hire different third-party people who will be supported. So that's where her money is going to. And where is her money coming from? Maybe she's getting money from ads during the show and then also maybe from YouTube. So suddenly she has a good idea of why she wants to start this business, what she's offering, and what people are going to pay for and where the money is coming from.
Nice one. So can you give me about 5 or 6 different business ideas that investors are interested in? And if you mention investors, can you break down your investors to know whether they are equity funders or people who give to you and expect you to pay back?
Okay.
So that they get the clarity. First of all, the kind of business ideas that will be of interest to investors.
Yes.
And then that's like fundable business ideas. And then the kind of support they're getting. Is it an equity-based one? Are there people who take a stake in the company or something that they have to pay back? If you can help us with that.
I can do that.
Okay.
So let's go back to the Ghana Innovation Journal report from 2022. We'll look at the top 25 investments that we made. We'll look at the categories, and that can give us an idea of where investors are currently focusing on. So at the top of the list, it's a bit of an outlier, but it's in the pharmaceutical industry. So there's a startup called M-Pharma that received about $35 million last year. But they are the only ones in the pharmaceutical industry, so we should be careful not to assume that the pharmaceutical industry is receiving the most investment.
Okay.
But outside that, we look at agribusinesses.
Okay.
So agribusinesses received a lot of the funding last year. We had companies like Farmerline that helps farmers to get investment for their products and then also to be able to aggregate their farm products.
Okay.
So you are looking at agribusiness, you are also looking at financial services. So we had a couple of companies like ZPay receiving a lot of investment.
Awesome.
These are fintechs, financial technology companies. But at the same time, they're in the financial services space. So you can also decide that you are doing something like Susu for a specific group of people. And the next sector we look at is IT infrastructure. because IT is constantly growing, if you have a business that is focusing especially on trending technologies, now we are looking at AI, we are looking at blockchain. These are trends, so most investors you want to chase the trend and be part of what is happening.
Yeah.
But you want to be careful that you are also not chasing the trend for the fun of it. Your business should have a sound business model before.
Okay.
And then we look at healthcare.
Okay.
Healthcare also received some investment. The person recorded here received $10 million in healthcare solutions. And then finally, energy and water solutions. Okay. There's also a bit of interest happening in the logistics space.
Okay.
Because of last mile logistics, most people are doing last mile delivery. And I think it's because more startups and businesses are doing deliveries for their products.
Awesome.
Yeah, so these are some of the main sectors that we saw a lot of investments coming in.
Okay.
But it's important, Sophie, to know that especially for women, there's a lot of investments coming in for women-led opportunities as well.
Okay.
And they are not sector specific. You just have to have a sound business idea and make sure that it's following any of the environmental sustainable goals.
Awesome. Nice. So in terms of, you've given us a couple of areas. If my memory serves me right, you talked about fintech, you talked about agribusiness, you talked about pharmaceuticals, you talked about logistics, energy and water, and then women-led businesses that has the SDGs, that are sustainable development goals, as part of what it seeks to address. So that is nice. So what kind of funding will these investors give to people who have businesses that fall within this line?
So now in the investment space in Ghana, you have to understand the nuances. Okay. Most local investors want to do what is called debt financing.
Okay.
I'll give you money, you pay back with a certain amount of percentage.
Okay.
Because they are not as sophisticated as the international market. Okay. They still believe in the very traditional investment approach.
Okay.
I'm going to give you $30,000. When am I getting my money back? Okay. What's the percentage on it?
Okay.
But when you look at the international market, and now Africa is receiving a lot of funding from the international market, we can look at what we call equity financing.
Awesome.
So this is where I will inject a specific amount and say, give me a percentage of your company. Depending on how you are growing, on how much you have already invested, then it will determine how much I will ask for.
Okay.
So if Kafi has already invested, let's say $100,000, and now she wants $200,000, I can say, okay, for $200,000, I can ask for 20% because I see that you've already injected a lot.
Okay.
But if you haven't put in a lot of money, then if I'm going to give you more money, I will ask for way more. Okay. I might even ask for close to 50%.
Okay.
Because I see you need a lot of money.
Okay. So what's the minimum amount of money an entrepreneur can receive? I mean, based on your experience, what's the minimum people have received for the various sectors, and what are the conditions attached to it?
Okay. So apart from the sectors, there's also the stages, right? So like we talked about earlier, we have the pre-seed. For pre-seed, you're looking at anything from $5,000 to $100,000. Okay. If you convert that to CDs, you can also get the value of from 50,000 to, let's say, 1 million CDs. The reason why it is smaller is because, again, you have to prove your concept. And depending on the savviness of the investor, they will be willing to give you more. And for that type of investment, you can even get it as a grant if you go to the right incubation programs or any of these entrepreneurship programs we have in Ghana. And then we're also looking at from Series A. From Series A, we look at anything from $250,000 all the way to, let's say, $3 million. Okay. And this is for Ghana. So we have to also be aware that the entrepreneurship scene in Ghana is changing. And we are no longer shrinking from large sums of money. And like I said, there's a lot of attention from the international market as well. So I always challenge entrepreneurs, don't limit yourself to how much you need. Just make sure that you'll be able to have a scaling approach to how much you need. By scaling, I say, if I give you $100,000, can you really grow it from A to Z? Okay. So don't be shy, or don't shy away from the value of the money that you need. Just make sure that you can properly account for it. And then there's from Series B to Series C. That's where you are looking anywhere from from $3 million upwards. So, like I said, for Pharmaline, they received $35 million, and it was from a group of investors. So it's usually not from only one investor as well. Different investors will come and say, okay, we see what Pharmaline has been. Sorry, this was M Pharma. We see what M Pharma has been doing. Let's all come together to give them more money. So that's the different stages. Pre-seed, you're looking at anywhere from 5,000 to 100,000. Series A, you're looking anywhere from 250,000 to about $3 million, and from Series B to C, you're looking from that onwards.
So, as a wrap up to our discussion on, you've nailed all the investment, entrepreneurship ideas that investors are interested in. Told us how much they are likely to get. So, what can they do to attract such investments? And then, what possibilities exist for them? As a lot of people say that there's no hope in Africa, there's no hope in Ghana. Are there some success stories you want to share as a wrap-up as well?
Okay, perfect. So this is what we do at The Innovation Spark. We share the success stories so that people are encouraged to be able to pursue their dreams as well. So how you can position yourself to attract this type of financing is, first of all, make sure that you are getting your accounts in order. Right from the beginning, have a record of your books. Your books, I mean, how much you are spending and how much you are earning. That's the first thing that any investor will look at. Does this make sense for me to inject this amount of money? What exactly do they use their money for? And like I mentioned, you want to look at the Sustainable Development Goals. It's an international approach, right, for all of us to move towards a specific goal by 2030. So if your business is going to help the world move towards this goal, then it makes sense for more people to put in money. And the goals, honestly, because they cut across, I believe there are 17, because they cut across 17 different areas, you always find a place. Exactly, you always find a place. Worst case in Africa and in Ghana, you are solving poverty. Right? There's good food, there's water. Like she mentioned, there's also gender equality, there's education. So there is no way you won't fall in these. Just be very intentional in how you are crafting your position or your message. And if you need any help, we provide the services at Innovation Spark as well. Now, the success stories that Sophie has asked for is actually captured in our Ghana Innovation Journal. It's also free. It's on our website and on our LinkedIn profile, The Innovation Spark. But let me just read through quickly some of them. So like I mentioned, M Pharma, which is a pharmaceutical company, they raised $35 million last year. Dash is a financial investment company. They raised $32 million. That's a financial institution. When it comes to IT infrastructure, PEX, they raised $20 million. And then we look at a woman-led institution, which is called OZE. It's also a financial, it's a fintech app, but you as an entrepreneur can use it to track your books. So it's actually
it's on Facebook.
Perfect.
Sponsored ad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they're doing really well. It's a woman co-founder as well. And then let's keep the fintechs. Healthcare, Yemua raised $3 million. When it comes to energy and water, they raised $3 million as well. They do electrification and finance. And you can see all the different investments that we made this year. And that will help you to also position your startup.
That was a very interesting time with you. There's a lot more we can go into, but we'll have to bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for making time to watch this video. Please subscribe to the channel for more insightful content. Share our videos with others so they can also benefit. Don't forget to comment and also press the notification button so you can get notified of life transforming content that we churn out every week. Thank you so much and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.